We're back. We don't know if this is going to be an interjections or a IJ subito, so let's just see what happens. In any instance, welcome back to the pod. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm joined by Mikko and Irfan. We're going to discuss the trip to Sardinia as well as the upcoming Champions League fixture. But introductions are due. Irfan, sir, how are we?
Doing well. It's nice to have a winning team again. And looks like we got a little something going now. We're fifth in the table so far as of now. We're only 3 points back, so the ship seems to have been righted, which is great. So I'm feeling relatively cautiously optimistic again, which is usually where I'm at in most cases. So no complaints from me.
Any complaints from you, Mikko?
No complaints. Also feeling quite confident now, finally. Good matches recently, so can't complain.
Very good. Well, let me jump right into things and ask what exactly is it that you've seen with the most recent match against Cagliari that has bolstered your confidence recently in the team? We'll start with you, Mikko.
Yeah, I think the match wasn't an easy one, but I think we had it pretty well under control. Apart from maybe parts of the second half, Cagliari kind of got into the game when we couldn't have our usual possession game as much. But I would say most of the match we were in like almost total control. We didn't allow Cagliari to do much. There was this one header to the post, but apart from that, I don't remember anything from them. And our attack is working pretty nicely. We aren't scoring as much as we could or can. That's kind of the story from last season as well. But I think we are. To me, it feels that we are kind of getting back on track what we've been doing in the past years. Like Kivu, he stopped trying to bring some new elements to our game, and we just do what we can do, what we know how we can play with this team, which is kind of at the same time it's a bit boring that he can't bring much changes, but then at the same time, if you don't have the personnel, why try to force any changes? So to me, he's mostly doing what Inzaghi did with this team, and we are kind of getting back to that that mold or that kind of a format, that kind of style now. And now we are reaping results, 2 wins in a row. So I think it's kind of bring the confidence back to the team as well. And nice to see also these goals, not from the set pieces, but the open play goals, which we happy managed to score few, but quite a lot of set piece goals. So nice to see these open play goals from combinations like the PO goal. That was a nice play, little combinations on the flank, and then they were able to free DiMarco for the cross, and a cool finish by PO for his first Serie A goal. Yeah, I think those are the main points I got from the match. But yeah, we can go more deep to the player performances. How about you, Irfan?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was I was very happy that we kept a clean sheet. We still have, as of now, the worst defense in the league when it comes to goals conceded, even though some teams haven't even played their 5th game yet. A lot of that has to do with the 4 goals we gave up to Juventus. So, I'm not going to completely indict the defense, but it was nice to see a clean sheet, which we didn't do even against Sassuolo. So I was happy with the defense. I was happy generally with the organization of the team. I think the attack is solid, but I think it's still very slow. I mean, that's the one thing I'll say that I've seen from Inzaghi to Kivu is, and I don't think this is necessarily on Kivu, but I think the players as of right now are still just processing and executing very slowly. It's like it's all very predictable, and I think that's what's causing some issues for us. Like the attacking patterns are there, the passing is there. Sometimes the accuracy is not there. Like I was getting very frustrated in this match with Barella, even though he was everywhere, he was working really hard, but there's so many times where his passing was so inaccurate. It seemed like he overshot people. He kept passing into like the defender's legs, and anytime he tried to like precision sort of place a ball through traffic or something like that, it just never came off. And so some of that's up to, Cagliari doing a good job defending, but I was just a little frustrated with his sort of crispness. And I think overall the team is playing well. I feel like they're gelling together pretty well, but it's still all very slow and predictable. Like you can see times where there's great buildup in the midfield, and we get out into the attacking third, and then all of a sudden everything just slows down. There's times where they're just not decisive, and they don't make that pass. Even if that pass might not come off, they just don't make the pass, and by then the defense is back and it's settled in. And so against a team like Cagliari, it might work, but I think we're going to struggle against some better teams if we're not as decisive and crisp. So that's the one thing I noticed on offense. But I was happy with the defense. I was generally happy with the midfield. Super happy for Pio to get his first goal. I was happy Lautaro scored. Hopefully that's, more to come on that. But overall, yeah, I was happy for the guys. And it's never easy, I think, to go to Sardinia and get a result. Even though we've kind of dominated them recently, I feel like the matches have always been somewhat tough. So it was a good result for us. And, there's a lot of promise for this weekend because Juventus ended up drawing and Milan and Napoli play each other. So we'll see what happens in that match. But it looks like, we might be right back into the thick of things, which is great.
Yeah, and I got to say, it was due to the work that we put in to nullify and subdue Cagliari, which made for a rather uneventful game in some regards, especially in the first half. I felt getting the early goal from Lautaro was always going to be a massive boost, and it was well worked, similar in some ways to the second goal, obviously coming from the left flank. But in any instance, getting that early goal put the dampers on Cagliari. Then I believe Belotti got injured, and overall they didn't really create much. And this is a Cagliari team that had lost just once, drawn once, and won the other two. So they weren't doing badly to start the season. But I got to say, I was somewhat surprised at how poor they seemed against us. And although that's partly on them, I do think obviously we contributed to that by keeping them so well under control. Let me hear about these individual performances. There's one player in particular that I want to hear about, or that Andrew wants to hear about. I'm just here to do a favor for him. But Irfan, any thoughts or any standout moments from one Luis Enrique?
I don't know about standout moments. I thought he played fine. I mean, it didn't seem, whenever you have a newish player playing in a position that's like usually pretty important, the thing that I look for is like, does this player really stand out, like stick out like a sore thumb, like is this somebody who, every time the ball goes to that person, the ball kind of dies, or every time the ball's at their feet, like I'm questioning what they just did. And it didn't seem like that was the case at all. So like to his credit, I feel like he kind of gelled in fine. He played okay. It didn't seem like we were necessarily skipping a beat or missing much with him in his position. So I think in that regard, it's definitely a plus, because there's been times and other players where like they're on the pitch, including, and I'll say this, like Asllani at times, where like the ball goes to him and you're like, oh man, like that's not right, But I didn't see that necessarily with Luis Enrique. So I think in that regard, he did well, but I didn't see any super standout moments either. I didn't see anything where he was really incredible. He had a couple of nice, I think, dribbles, and he seemed generally good and solid, but nothing stood out to me. Like I didn't see it as a world beating or potentially, really inspiring or game changing performance. What about you, Mikko?
To be honest, I wasn't too happy with him in the first half. I remember like the first thing he did with the ball was give up the throw because he messed it up, and then he started to me it started to go kind of wrong for him from that first moment. He missed passes like a couple of times in the first half. Maybe there was some miscommunication or something, but I wasn't like super impressed by him. But he grew into the game, and then in the second half it was much better. And I feel that the guy is just still not used to the game we play, and he's so kind of reserved because he like deep down in his mind he thinks about too much about the defending, or where should I be, like how should I run, when should I press, and he, that's my feeling how he's not like totally confident in his game yet, but I think that he will be useful when he kind of gets going it better. Uh, I saw a nice comparison to Dumfries when Dumfries joined Inter. That was like, when was it? 5 years ago already, or 4 years ago. And I think he wasn't like great at the start either. So I think there's nothing to worry about yet about him. And this was his first start, which is nice in a tough ground, like you Jay mentioned. The Cagliari away match is not easy one, even if we've had a great record against them lately. But they put Napoli in difficulties in Napoli's home game, and this is not an easy match. And he kind of carried himself good enough, even though, like I said, I wasn't fully happy with his first half. But that's just uh, in my mind this kind of a maybe a bit of lack of confidence in his own abilities, or understanding how he should play at the moment for this team.
Any thoughts on the squad selection here? I mean, we did start pretty much our first choice lineup minus the wing back, so I don't think you can argue too much considering we got the results. But is there anyone you would have liked to have seen get a few more minutes, maybe start this game? Maybe we could have, arguably should have started with like a Sucic or Fratesi or even Zielinski ahead of Barella, Irfan?
No, I think I was okay with the selection. Like you said, it's we have to be a little smart with the midweek fixture going on, but I think we're still pretty early in the season, and I don't see anyone out there looking so fatigued. I think in some regard, some of the injuries that we started off with in the season kind of helped. Like Lautaro looked fine. I think Hakan looked okay. Barella was fine, and then to Kivu's credit, he did sub out Barella and give him a little bit of a break. Like he didn't play the full 90 minutes, and then the main person that I was sort of concerned about is Thuram, because he's just been so important for us when he scores goals, but even when he's not scoring goals, he's just so important as a nuisance on the pitch for the other team, and just putting the defense constantly under attack. And I do feel like he's played a lot, and he sometimes gets these knocks, and he sometimes seems or feels like he might be sort of injured or knocked a little bit. So I was worried about him, but even he was subbed out, and I think he was given a little bit of a rest too by Kivu. So far, I'll say I've been pretty okay with his man management sort of skills. Like the rotation's been okay. He didn't start Dumfries, and some of the players have been a little bit injured, so he's been taking it a little bit easier with them, which I think is all fine. I do think in our midfield, one of the things that we need to sort of solve for is it definitely seems to me like Mkhitaryan's like sort of on the decline. Like he's just less and less effective in these games. Like he's always solid, and I give him a lot of credit because he plays really well, and his stamina and speed are still really high. But man, like there's times where he just like there's a moment in this match where he was like completely wide open, essentially threw on goal, and he just whiffed the shot so bad. Like it was pretty unbelievable. He was like almost 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and like more than half the net was wide open, and he just completely scuffed it. And like there's times where he can be a little frustrating. Like again, like even yesterday his passing was still really good, but I don't think it's more of a fatigue issue with him. I think it's just like we just really don't have a kind of player still who does what he does, and we can use and swap in to sort of give Mkhitaryan breaks. So I'm just worried that we're going to drive him into the ground eventually. I don't think we are now, but with his kind of declining performances and just how much he plays, I'm a little concerned about that. But otherwise, I think the team did fine. It was interesting to see Martinez out there again in goal, and I don't know if Summer is injured or not, or if it's just a reaction to the performances recently, but it's definitely nice to see Martinez playing a lot more.
Any thoughts on the lack of Diouf?
Nah, I'm not like I'm not worried about that guy. I definitely want to see him like sooner than later. At least like give him few minutes. But maybe this was not the match. You wanna use him because, as said, this is a tough match. You need kind of this physicality. You need precision, and I don't know if Diouf is not kind of ready for the movements if he doesn't have them yet, like how to move, how to position himself. Well, we don't know about that, but I really hope to see him soon, maybe against Slavia. I'll quickly comment on the lineup. The defense was great. Bastoni, De Vrij, Akanji, everyone played great, and I really feel that we are not like missing Pavard anymore at all. Akanji he's been playing great now in the past few matches, and I think he's been starting most of the matches now, which is kind of nice. But let's see what will be the Pissek's role now. I assume he needs to play at some point, but so far Akanji has been excellent apart from the Juve match. Lautaro, Çalhanoğlu, they were great. Bastoni, obviously, he got the MVP of the match. Barella, I want to comment on Barella. I'm really like, I think for the past, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 matches, he hasn't been that great. Like he usually is.
2, 3, 4 years.
No. 2, 3, 4 years he's been great, but not recently. I think that I don't know what's with him. I think when I look him at the ball, and there's something he just keep doing all the time, which is he keeps the ball, tries to keep it, and I'm always like almost shouting like, okay, pass it already, like give it up, and he just tries to get the free kick, or I don't know what he tries to do. Sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't, and then it's bad if he doesn't. And I just don't understand why he can't like keep the game flowing and kind of pass the ball forward faster. He takes too many touches with the ball, and all these flicks, like all these little tricks he tries to do, and these days he doesn't get them right always, and it's a bit frustrating to watch. And I would actually hope to see him benched maybe match or 2 and not play him at all. But then I don't know who would be the replacement. Is it the Sucic? I guess that's the obvious choice, but I kind of understood why he wasn't subbed in for him in this match, since Frates is more like this kind of more physical guy, and I feel this match was the one where we need the physicality. Luis Enrique was taken out to or Dumfries was replacing him to get kind of more physicality for the rest of the match there, and the right side was more stronger after those subs. But obviously, that sub when Barella went off, that kind of changed. We kind of lost the control a bit at that moment, because Fratesi is, well, he is what he is. He's not this kind of same kind of engine as Barella is, but I felt strangely I felt good when Barella went off, because I was getting like almost frustrated, like totally pissed, like what are you doing there? Like he was losing balls all the time, and making fouls, and yeah, that was a good sub. But apart from Barella, I would say that most of the team played very well. Maybe Thuram was a bit, I don't know, maybe he's a bit tired, as you, Irfan, referred. But anyway, good match. But most of the team, for certain.
Yeah, you raised an interesting point. I mean, I think it's Akanji coming in and basically just wrestling that starting spot away is pretty interesting, because he has been very solid. He's been great defensively, and he's actually been pretty good offensively. Like he'll move up and he'll stay up, and he's not afraid to kind of keep the ball at his feet and then draw some defenders and then pass the ball off. Like I don't think he looks to like score or get into the scrum at all, but I don't think he's afraid to necessarily be part of the attack, which I think is great. So he's done well, and I'm really curious, you're right, to see what happens with Bisek, because Bisek seems to have kind of fallen off favor a little bit with Kivu, and we'll see. Maybe it's just, he hasn't really needed to sub Akanji out or give Akanji a break. And maybe once the season gets going, Bisek will be more part of the regular rotation, but right now it definitely seems like Akanji's sort of taking that over. Barella, I completely agree with you. I think he's just a little off. And I don't think it's fatigue. I think he's just adjusting to sort of like some of the changes in the team, but he needs to definitely play better. And other than that, though, you're right. I mean, I feel like the team is pretty good. The squad's pretty good. I'd like to see Diouf as well. And I definitely think that the primary sub for Barella should be Sucic. I don't know if they view him as the primary sub for Hakan, but they definitely need to sub him in more, because we did lose control and shape in the midfield with Barella out instead of and Fratesi coming in. Fratesi is still just such a limited sort of player. Like he's great at what he does, but it's like a specialist role, and I think we just have to accept that that's going to be his thing. He's a specialist that can come in when we need an attacking goal or something like that, but he doesn't really do much else or stabilize the team in any other way.
The point about Bisek is, should we be concerned about his lack of opportunities under Kivu? It feels like it's kind of flown under the radar how little Bisek has played, but I saw an image the other day about like minutes. I think he's pretty much right down the bottom with, ironically, Zielinski, but Zielinski actually has a few appearances. He just keeps getting like 10-minute cameos. So should we consider this to be just Kivu wanting to consolidate Akanji as his number one, or is there more going on here? Do you think he doesn't rate Bisek, or do you think there's something else going here tactically?
I can kind of buy both of those explanations, but I don't know. I don't have a kind of clear opinion which would be the most probable one. But I think that because Akanji has been so good, he puts him there to kind of keep the ship steady, because the start of the season was really something or the first 3 rounds when we had just 3 points, I think that put Kivu in a position that, okay, now we need to just keep winning games and we can't like drop anything, we can't risk anything. I feel that's probably the reason why Bisek is not playing, especially as it was the Udinese match which we lost, and well, to be honest, he wasn't great at that game. So maybe that's my take why he's not playing, and should we be concerned or worried about that? Well, maybe not yet, but let's see. If it's like next month and he hasn't played much, then maybe there is something, and then that's not good, because I guess we need him as well.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not too concerned yet. I think it's good that Akanji's been playing really well, and Kivu is kind of integrating him into the team and trusting him. I think all of that's good. I think, just given how many matches we have, Bisek will have his chances. But I do think it's a little bit concerning that he's played so little. And I don't know if Kivu doesn't rate him, but Bisek is injury prone. I mean, he's error prone. Like he'll play solid and he'll play really good, and sometimes he'll play exceptionally good. But then like he does give up these kind of boneheaded errors at times, and usually at least once a match. And unfortunately, the way we're playing right now, we just can't really afford that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Kivu just considers Akanji the safer option. And given where we are on the table right now and we need to string some wins together, he wants to go with the safer option. So hopefully Bisek will still get his chances, but I don't think, with Akanji there now, he's going to get as many chances as he was getting with Pavard there, who was very injury prone and also prone to some errors. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how that plays out.
All right, let's move on to the midweek Champions League fixture. We are playing. Who the fuck are we playing?
Slavia Prague. Not.
Is it a home match?
Yeah. Yes. Because Andrew is going to that match as well. He was in the Cagliari match. He's going to this Slavia Prague match as well.
All right. No one cares about Andrew. All right. Let's not waste precious time here. But all right. So midweek, Slavia Praha. We have played Slavia Praha a few. No, have we not played them a few times recently?
I feel like we play them every year, but I don't think that's true.
It was different Prague. It was Sparta Prague we played last season.
But we also played Slavia Praha in Conte's first season, right?
I'm not sure it was Sparta or Slavia. But maybe it was this one.
We played some motherfuckers from Prague, but Slavia or Sparta, you're right. We do seem to be drawn against these guys fairly regularly.
Okay, it was the time. It was this Slavia Prague, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about Slavia Praha right now. I presume you gentlemen won't be so insufferable as to pretend either. So let's skip all that and let's just talk about what we want to see from our boys. Rotation wise, as mentioned, the fact that we went full steam for Cagliari was probably the right decision. I think that's why we ended up with, like I said, such a kind of quiet game, and we just managed to maintain control of Cagliari the whole time. That was a result of playing the first team boys. So I think that allows for a little bit of rotation here. We're playing at home. I do think these guys, based on what we saw against Ajax at the very least, have retained some of that Limone continental ability. There was a time when we were there was a very long time where Inter were one of the fucking worst teams in Europe in terms of how you perform locally versus how you perform continentally, right? Let's think about even with the exception of Mourinho's Inter, like going back to Mancini's Inter, always getting knocked out in the round of 16 against I was getting knocked out in the round of 16 against Villarreal, Valencia, and who was it before that? I can't even remember. But and then in the Conte Spalletti era, I remember there was a time when we were like seeing these stats flying around. We've won 3 out of our last 15 Champions League matches, and you're like, what the fuck kind of insanity is that, And then you have to give immense credit to Limone because he kind of reversed that entirely, and it became the opposite. It's like Inter are unbeaten in their last 20 group stage matches and so on, and then we started seeing all these really impressive stats come about during Inzaghi's tenure here and the way he consolidated this team into a force to be reckoned with on the continent. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying I still think there is a little bit of that in this team. I don't know why, but the team, I think, can turn it on during Champions League matches, maybe more so than they do in league matches. And so with that ability, I would like to see a bit more risk taking here. And I don't mean just in the tactical approach or how we play. I do want to see that reflected in the selection as well. I do think it's time that we give Fratesi a start, maybe even Bonnie. I do agree with Irfan that Thuram needs to be managed carefully here. I feel like there's, I don't know. He looks leggy sometimes, even though it's only been 5 games. But I feel like that kind of explosivity he has, the explosiveness that he has, feels a little bit lesser these days. He feels a little bit kind of slower to get around and a bit rangy and less kind of compact and dynamic. But in any instance, I'd personally give Pio a start here alongside Lautaro. Maybe look to have Bonnie come in not too late. Wingbacks, I'd love to see Zalewski given a start. Oh, don't worry about it. And otherwise, midfield is where you'd have the most rotation, right? Let's not go crazy, but I still think, as mentioned, Fratesi should be starting, and the others can be, the regular guys, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, whatever. But Fratesi or Sucic, I believe one of them should start. Maybe even Zielinski. I do think the guy still has something to offer, despite what many Inter fans have to say about Zielinski. I do think there's a good player there. Other than that, the defense is pretty self-explanatory. We don't really have many backups as it is, and they're all reliable for the most part. So defense is one department where you can rotate, you can change names, and for the most part, I'll be happy with any combination of names. So that's me. That's my wish list. I'll be honest, I don't want to see Diouf. I think 20 million, 25 million on this guy was a joke, and we're already seeing that in the fact that it's been 7 games and he's played like 8 horrendous minutes. So, Irfan, give me your team here. What do you want to see?
Look, let me start off by saying I think the accelerator has been getting a little bit of a bad rep. It will take some time. I mean, he played 8 minutes in one match. We got to be a little patient with this guy. And he played 8 minutes basically like pretty much as soon as he hopped off the plane, it seemed like. So we got to be a little patient. With that said, I agree with you. I don't want to see him in this match. I think a substitute appearance against Cremonese, hopefully after we're up like 3-0, is like a good place to play him. But I would like to see a little bit of rotation. You're right, but I really do want to take the Champions League fairly seriously. I feel like we've had already like an international break. I think we have another international break coming up in mid-October. The players should still be pretty fresh right now. I'm not as concerned about a heavy rotation or anything like that right now. We also have a decent squad depth-wise. Like I think it'd be nice to see, some rotation in the midfield, like you mentioned. And I would love if we could start Bonnie instead of like Thuram, and maybe bring in Thuram off the bench, something like that. But other than that, I'm not too concerned. I think Slavia Praha is decent. They're second in the league right now. They've got a pretty good center backing pair of this Ogbu and Zima guy. They have some good midfielders too, but no one that should be giving us a lot of trouble. And yes, I just looked them up right now and came up with 2 names to say, so it looks like I know what I'm saying. But I think, it's one of those matches where I would expect us to comfortably win, but stranger things have happened. And so I'm very curious to see if Kivu treats this as a kind of perfunctory, let's rotate the squad, we're way better than these guys, who cares if it's a Champions League game? Or if he's like, I've got Andrew in the stands, I need to put our best foot forward, let's put in all the starters, and let's go for the jugular. So I'll see, let's see where it all ends up. But I'm optimistic about the game, regardless of what Kivu sort of does, and I'm fully expecting that we get a comfortable win here.
I just saw that this Ogbu guy seems to be injured, but I don't know like how badly injured he is. At least FOTMob marks him as injured. But let's see. I actually watched some of the match they played against Bodo Glimt in the first round of the Champions League, and Slavia didn't look bad. They were kind of technical, can play pretty fast, but then the defending is not like super top notch. And given this is our home match, I also feel fairly confident we can manage this, but the lineup choices will be interesting because now checking the Ajax match, we had like almost full lineup or the starting lineup there, except Lautaro. Maybe a Cherby, how you wanna see it. The started that, but I think he's been very solid. So it was almost our first team there. So will be interesting to see. Will, for example, Thuram start like you guys discussed a bit? Like he's been playing a lot. I think he started every match for us, if I'm not mistaken. So would be maybe good to see him sit this one. I think this is already on Tuesday, so let's see what are the kind of the fitness levels for the players. But one thing I'm a bit kind of or I have been thinking now this like early season is what's the thing with Çalhanoğlu, and when Kivu wants to rest him, what's the thing, like will it be Barella there like in the first match, or what's the kind of idea? Because to be honest, Zielinski, he's not the guy we need there. He's too soft, and even though I would also like to see him playing a bit more if he can get his true player. What I can see, it's still there. I think he hasn't been able to get to the rhythm at Inter at any point. Maybe because of the lack of minutes, well, because of the injuries last season and so on. But somehow about this Regista position, it's a bit of a concern. Like, will Çalhanoğlu start this one? Will he start against Cremonese next weekend? And then it will be another international break where he will probably play 2 times 90 minutes. And then it will be a really rough schedule for Inter. So I'm actually looking for some kind of rotation for Çalhanoğlu at least one of these matches we have before the break. I don't know about the wing backs. I would say probably Dumfries will start this one, but hard to say. Would be nice to see Pio starting again. He's just so good. I'm so happy to see him play like already like this, like very useful. Even without the goals, he's like so useful as this target guy. It's really pleasure to see him like kind of being absolutely, well, if not saying crucial, but very kind of useful for us already.
All right, what are we expecting here, scores wise? Give me predictions.
Let's say 3-1. We're gonna mess up one chance to them and they'll score, but we score 3 and win pretty comfortably. Maybe Dumfries will score a goal. Let's give Lautaro 1 goal, and then Thuram. He comes off the bench and scores.
Irfan.
I'm going 2-0 Inter. Relatively comfortable win. I think Hakan will get a penalty. And I think, man, who do I want to give this goal to? I'm going to give it to Bonnie. I think Bonnie gets a goal, and I think Hakan gets a goal.
Yeah, I think 2-0 seems to be the safe bet here. We've had this scoreline a few times this season, and both times the games have been fairly low-key, fairly well-controlled games. I'm referring to the Ajax game and the one we just saw against Cagliari. I felt both performances. Control was the name of the game, and I feel like this game will be quite similar in that regard. So that's why I'm going for a 2-0. I'll give it to I'll give one to DeMarco, and I'll give one to Ram. Let's end the episode with a Jay's hot betting tip. I've got 2 hot betting tips here. 2 steaming hot tips coming your way. One is Kairat against Real Madrid. I'm going for an upset here with a 2-1 Kairat victory over Real Madrid. Kairat are, of course, that team that kind of became a bit of a meme for this extended Champions League as they're in fucking Kazakhstan. But they're going to pull the upset of all upsets by beating Real Madrid. The other Jay's hot betting tip is Barcelona versus PSG, the Champions League final that should have happened, the Champions League final that everyone deserved instead of the disgrace that we got. No, I kid about that. I've seen people jokingly say that, oh, I'm an Inter fan. Apologies that we denied y'all the PSG versus Barcelona. You can get fucked, all right? As disgraceful as our performance was, that shit can go to hell. But in any instance, in this high prestige match, I'm going for a 3-2 Barcelona victory, and I think Yamal will score 2 of the goals, therefore leading to you know what's coming next, the whole social media wank fest. So get ready for it.
Wait, Jay. How are you not going to give us a betting tip on Milan versus Napoli? Come on.
Yes,
I need something here, man. Don't try to skirt this because you're worried about your favorite team.
I'm not giving a betting tip for that because that game will be finished by the time this episode gets released.
That's a good point. But what's your prediction?
I've already given my thoughts on this. It's going to be a humiliation, like 3-0 Milan, and then they're going to show who the real Scudetto favorites are here. Allegri, I think what a Milan, 4 games in a row. 4 victories in a row, 4 clean sheets in a row. This Allegri machine is starting to click into gear. Modric is looking like the true, midfield, a legendary midfield marquee signing, not fucking Kevin De Bruyne, and surprise, not Andy Diouf. But yeah, this Allegri Milan with 1 game a season, I'm telling you cannot write them off despite their hilarious opening day loss against Cremonese with Bonazzoli scoring a scissor kick. And that kind of meme shit aside, like I'm telling you, this Milan is a surefire bet for the Scudetto. So you wanted a prediction, 3-0 Milan, you got one.
You know what? I'm fully endorsing that 3-0 because Napoli is pissing me off. And, as much as Milan irritates me at times, like, I'm going full Milan on this because for some reason there's not a lot of matches where I feel like Napoli is going to drop points. And whenever they play somebody where they could drop some points, I'm all for it. So let's go Milan on this one. Forza Milan against Napoli.
In brackets, against Napoli.
Yeah.
I'm going to this match like fairly with ease of mind since all outcomes are fine for me. Like either one can win, so I can be happy with the other one losing. Maybe the draw is the best one for us, like realistically, because then both would be losing 2 points. But let's see. It's probably going to be a snooze fest anyway. Conte and Allegri, so what can you expect?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys, let's sign off here. Mikko, you know what to do.
Forza Inter.
All right, catch y'all next time.